Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm really excited today. This is going to be a great presentation on Coverings 2024 preview, Prepared to be Floored. Very exciting, very interesting stuff that will be happening at Coverings. I'm Jim Olson with the National Tile Contractors Association, and I want to welcome you and thank you for taking time out of your busy day today to attend today's webinar sponsored by Coverings. Before I introduce today's speaker, I want to remind you that during this webinar, you'll be muted. So if you have a question, type it in the questions area of your control panel. On there, you'll have a questions area. You can type it in there, and at the end of the program, we will get back and answer these questions for all of you. So stay through the whole thing, and you'll get your questions answered. If the audio on your computer is poor, call the number on the invite to this webinar and listen on your phone, please. All NTCA webinars are available to watch at any time on the NTCA YouTube channel shortly after the webinars are presented. This will give you easy access to watch and or share all current and past programs at your convenience. All right, today I have 4 presenters to introduce. So here we go. I'm going to introduce them in all at one time. I'm going to start with Cecilia Lopez. She's the Senior Director of Marketing with Taffy Event Strategies. She's a seasoned event marketing professional with over a decade of expertise in event management and marketing. With a track record of spearheading award-winning campaigns for diverse nonprofits and working on some of the most prominent trade shows in the U.S., Cecilia currently serves as the Senior Director of Marketing at Taffy Event Strategies, covering events management firm. A proud double alumna of Virginia Tech, she holds a master's degree in communications, leveraging her academic background to excel in her field. Beyond her professional endeavors, Cecilia channels her passion for marketing into supporting animal shelters, showcasing her commitment to making a positive impact beyond business. Second, Bart Bettiga. Bart Bettiga he has over 30 years of experience in the ceramic tile industry and has been the Executive Director of the National Tile Contractors Association since 2002. He is a member of the Executive Committee of both the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation and Coverings, and is a voting member of many of the tile industry standards and methods committees. He is a publisher of Tile Letter magazine and has authored numerous articles related to the promotion of proper tile installation and qualified labor. The NTCA has over 1,200 members. The NTCA has over 1,500 members and represents thousands of installers and contractor businesses and owners. Third, David Arnott. I'm really excited about this. David Arnott, he's signed to the Clarendon Fine Art, the world's largest gallery art group. His work hangs alongside Andy Warhol, Picasso, Banksy, Dali, and David is currently working on a very high-profile project. David holds the world record for creating the world's most expensive mosaic. Think about that, the most expensive mosaic. That's quite an accomplishment. Mosaics have been a part of our history for 4,000 years, and in Europe art, they have been used for centuries to represent religious icons. In the 21st century, however, British artist David Arnott is using them to celebrate a different kind of cult, that of celebrities, referencing subjects from the Rolling Stone Lips logo to Her Majesty the Queen. His breathtaking portraits are beautifully and meticulously constructed from thousands of mosaic fragments, each one hand cut, some no bigger than a millimeter long. In his skilled and careful hands, this ancient artisan technique becomes a way of showing us some of the more familiar faces of our time in a completely new way, fragmented, luminous, and yet dazzling authentic. David researches the individual subject. Each mesmerizing artwork represents an extraordinary homage to the particular legend, from musician to movie star. David's mosaics have made a massive impact in a highly exclusive market where he has collaborated with celebrity designer Debbie Wingham on a series of the most expensive objects, including a mosaic roulette table. He has also undertaken some hugely impressive personal commissions for celebrity clients, including the Kardashians, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, as well as for high-end brands such as Mercedes-Benz, Gucci, Nike. He has completed work for the Royal British Legion several times, including official artwork for the World War I cemetery in 2018, and his unique mosaics are now in demand all over the world. Fourth but not last, Joe Lundgren. He's been involved in the tile industry in a variety of roles for over 40 years. From working in a warehouse at American Olean to serving as Vice President of Marketing for Dow Tile Corporation, Joe has a unique understanding of the U.S. tile market. For the past 11 years, Joe has supported clients through this company, Joe Lundgren Consulting, specializing in business development, product management, and marketing. I want to welcome all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I just wanted to do a quick check here and make sure everybody can still see my screen. Great.
Yes.
We can go ahead and dive in. I'm hopefully here to floor you today, but what's really going to floor you is Coverings 2024, which is taking place April 22nd through 25th in Atlanta, Georgia. Just to give you a preview of what we're going to discuss today, we're going to talk a little bit about the background of Coverings for anybody who hasn't been before. It is the premier tile and stone event in North America. We'll talk specifics here in a little bit. More specifically, we want to talk as well about why contractors and installers in particular should attend and go over key features of the show for contractors and installers. And for any participants who are joining us live here today versus watching later on, there will be a special prize for a lucky participant following today's session. We'll announce the winner by the end of the week or by the end of next week, excuse me, I forgot we're already on Thursday. And we'll inform you all via email using the address that you used to register for this webinar. Diving into Coverings a little bit more, as I mentioned before, it is in North America's largest tile and stone showcase. But currently we're expecting over 1,000 exhibitors from 40 different countries. It's an opportunity to meet with 25,000 plus industry professionals representing all of the different segments in tile and stone. And of course, there are educational opportunities across the 4 days of the event, both on and off the show floor. The 9 miles of tile and stone that you can explore on the show floor include products from all over the world, North America, Italy, Spain, Brazil, and countless others. We are in halls B and C at the Georgia World Congress Center this year for anybody who attended Coverings in 2018 or has been to any other show in Atlanta. And we're happy to announce that there is a new hall B and C connector. So essentially, while they're two separate halls, it's going to feel like one huge 9-mile experience. So many reasons to attend Coverings. Again, for anybody who's been before, I think you can all agree it's just a fascinating experience, and you really have to be there to experience it. You don't want to hear about it later. You want to experience it firsthand. There's so many different tile and stone products and installation materials to experience from over 1,000 exhibitors, as I mentioned earlier. Really a chance to dive into education that you can't get anywhere else, from sessions from economic forecasting to really hands-on technical workshops. There's so many opportunities there on site. It's a chance to reconnect with your peers, people that you haven't seen in a long time, and more importantly, come together in the spirit of collaboration versus competition, and just get really difficult to access training from NTCA, TCNA, and CTF leaders, among others, while you're on site. There are so many things to experience during Coverings. We won't go every single one in detail, but I just wanted to run through some of them briefly with you all here today. There are 4 different covering stages that people can take advantage of while they're on site. We'll go over some of the ones that are particularly interesting to this group in more detail here in a bit. There are tours both within coverings and just outside of coverings as well, some local tours that I think Bart will share more information about later on. We have a new outdoor oasis this year that we're excited about, that showcases indoor and outdoor applications for tile. A brand new women's lounge at coverings as well. Our art tile village, which features our own David Arnott. Very excited about that. Countless education and learning opportunities on and off the show floor, and 2 award ceremonies celebrating installation, in addition to young professionals who are making an impact on the industry. Of course, we want to tailor this presentation specifically to you all. So what we'll cover in depth here today includes our installation innovation stage, our artisan showcase, our brand new galvanized women's lounge, the contractor tours that will be available on site, contractor and installer education, our awards presentations, in addition to a sneak peek of our brand new outdoor oasis. And with that, I will turn it over to Bart.
Well, thank you, Cecilia. And Jim had mentioned in his lovely introduction of all of us that I've been the executive director for 22 years of the NTCA. So 22 years of coming to coverings. For those that don't know, NTCA is an owner partner in the show coverings. Gives me an absolute appreciation for the work that goes on behind the scenes. So Cecilia, congratulations to you and your team at Taffy, who puts this show on and finds people like David Arnott, Joe Lundgren that we'll talk to here. Just a lot of work goes in. And, many years ago, we recognized that, we have to have a lot of activity on the show floor, not just in a conference program. It just helps to keep the flow going. It creates a buzz, and a lot of people will attend shortly and get back to a meeting. And so we like to mix up a conference program along with a lot going on the stages on the show floor. And as Cecilia, you mentioned, there's several of them, but we're going to talk specifically about the installation innovation stage. That's right in Hall C, where the Tile Council of North America Pavilion is, and a lot of stone also in that area, I believe. NTCA will be putting on 7 events. We'll be focusing on a lot of different topics there, but there's also Tile Council of North America members also putting on different demonstrations on products, best practices, installation tips. So just a great opportunity. That education is going on all day, every day, for most of the duration of the show, at least for the first 3 days. Next slide, Cecilia. Yeah, the artisan showcase, that brings in our friend from the UK that I want to talk about. But this artisan showcase is really something that we're excited about, dedicated to the artisans who create handmade art and specialty tiles. You'll have exhibitors around there. You'll have some stunning concept boards from the Art Tile Village exhibitors and other art tile makers from around the country. And then specifically, we brought David Arnott in. Jim did an excellent job in creating a bit of a biography for him. But on opening day, Monday, April 22nd, David will be giving a talk from tile setter to artist, a creative transition. David, I'm going to bring you in on this conversation. I was fortunate enough to kind of reach out, get to know you a little bit, and help bring you, introduce you to the people at Covering so that we have you as a guest here at the show. When I talked with you, one thing I think the installers would love to know is that you're not just an artist. You were trained as a tile installer. Share with our group here how you got into being a mosaic artist, but that you actually have a tile installation background. Is that not right?
Yeah, so basically, a long time ago, I was on a wall and floor tiling course at Salford College, and I wasn't very good when I first left school and all that type of thing, tell the truth. And then my tutor told me to have a sit down because he wanted to speak to me regarding my behaviour. I'd only tiled about 2 walls. I was one of the naughty kids basically from leaving school. And then I got the opportunity to resit the first year. So I happened to resit the first year, and then I stumbled across doing a piece of artwork, and then from that artwork, I did a yin and yang, and then I took every award throughout the UK with City and Guilds that year for a mosaic. So basically that set my path. But yeah, I was working for a tiling firm in the UK called B&B Tiling. So I was doing bathrooms and stuff like that, but majority of the time I was sat grouting, doing stuff like that, learning on the job. Actually, when I first started, because like now I'm sponsored by Latacrete and by Johnson Tiles, which is UK based.
Right.
So I used to actually all the cut-offs and stuff like that. I used to make my work through doing off cut-offs of pieces of people's bathrooms and stuff like that. So back then I used to make mirrors, I used to make portraits, I used to do pretty much so many things. It was mad. But yeah, so it's been a long time in the making, and now like I'm with one of the biggest art gallery groups in the world. Well, not one of the biggest, the biggest. And I've got my artworks next to Picasso, next to Warhol, next to Dali, next to Basquiat, next to basically all the greats. So yeah, it's been a journey and a half, and something I didn't think that was even possible from going from where I went from to where I am today. And like I'm sat in my little home studio at the moment. I've got artwork that I'm working on at the moment, which is behind me. I've got an artwork here that's down here below me as well. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to coverings, and I appreciate the opportunity of being able to come over and speak to people regarding like going forward, and especially into the art world as well,
And some
as
of
well
your
as.
works are now, they're now in the United States as well. They weren't before. Is that right? Do you have works that are,
Yeah, they've just opened a gallery in Connecticut.
okay.
So yeah, so then my work could be there. Not long. Probably could be there now. Actually, to be quite honest, I'm not too sure. But yeah, so I have a lot going on at the moment. I'm working with Windsor Castle as well. I'm doing some stuff for Windsor. So that's the next project that I've got going on. And then
So thanks to the world of social media, a lot of our people have seen uh, some of your work. You sometimes will share on social media. So I think having you here is actually a draw for some people, especially we have a lot of people in our association that are really focused on the artistic elements, the artistic installations, and incorporating art into tile installations. And so we're hoping that that if they were on the fence and they weren't planning on coming to Atlanta, that they'll come to see you. So what are you going to do in that 1 hour when you're doing from tile setter to artist, a creative transition? Can you tell them what they can be looking forward to in your talk?
yeah, so basically, I'm gonna open up and I'm gonna tell people exactly how to actually make a portrait and how to go from being able to use the correct materials and stuff like that. Because a lot of people, when in that type of thing, sometimes they don't they use the wrong materials to start with. So basically, when they're chopping a tile, it's a lot more difficult than what they actually thought in the process. But what I'll actually show how to cut an actual piece of tile so it actually can go on in an actual portrait, and the correct materials to use for it as well. And like even like down to the boards and stuff like that, of being able to use the correct boards and stuff like that so your work will last. And all them types of things. So even like the down to doing the eyes in a portrait, if someone's got wants to ask me how to do the actual eye, because it's the first process what you start off with. Say like for example you're doing a portrait, the person, if you want to capture someone, you capture them by doing the start with their eyes, because the eyes is basically the soul. So once you capture someone's eyes, then you've got pretty much the rest of the portrait is pretty much flowing. So it's pretty easy once you know how to do it. It's just knowing how to do it.
That's fantastic. We're so excited to have you here, and thank you for being willing to come to the show. And I think, Cecilia, that this is going to be attractive to not just the artistic installers, but to artists, but to people who sell artistic tile, to the artists themselves, the ceramic tile makers that make artistic tile. I think we're going to have a great draw at David's program. David, thank you for joining us. It's 6:30 your time in the UK, so we appreciate you staying and being available in the evening. Cecilia, you want to bring us to the next slide? Thank you, David.
No problem.
Thanks so much, David. We're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Cecilia, do you want to talk a little bit about the Women's Lounge? I think I'll let you do this one.
I would love to. Thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, we are happy to introduce this year our new Galvanized Women's Lounge, which we, have been thinking about and had in the works for a while, just to get all of our women's groups, our industry women's groups together in a nice, comfortable place that really fosters inclusivity, because it's not just for women, it's for women and anybody who supports women, and really encourages community building and idea sharing in a nice, safe space. So at Coverings, you can expect to participate in the Women's Lounge in a variety of capacities, whether you are looking for a quiet place to meet, if you want to meet other women in the industry, if you're just breaking in or haven't made a lot of connections yet. In addition to some specialized programming that will be available on our website as well for you to take a peek at what you can expect over the course of the 4 days within the Women's Lounge. As I mentioned before, we have participation from several women's groups, which we're so excited about. One of them being Women in Tile, which I'm sure many folks on the call today are familiar with.
Great. All right. Let's see. What else are we going to talk about the tour? So yeah, our webinar host, Jim Olson, has been really involved in the contractor tours. I believe there are several tours going on, but we're talking specifically about the contractor installer groups. We started these several years ago, and they've been wildly popular with not only the contractors that participate on the tour, but with the exhibitors that also participate and get a few minutes to interact with the people on the tour. They're self-guided audio tours, so the people, I think the size group is large enough that it's hard to communicate without it. So they wear headsets and they can hear Jim, our host, and then he kind of leads them to each different exhibitor. And I believe they begin at the lounge and end at the lounge. But these are really, really popular. Cecilia, how do they sign up at the lounge? Is that correct? They sign up the day of the lounge. So in the morning, is it first come, first serve? Is that how that works?
Yes, it's first come, first serve in the Outdoor Oasis, which used to be the Coverings Lounge, but you won't be able to miss it because it's stunning. These do tend to fill up fast, so we definitely encourage people first thing in the morning to come in and sign up for the tours.
Okay, thank you. The Signia tour, this is uniquely brand new. The Signia is a hotel that's connected to the Georgia World Congress Center. It's brand new. The hotel opened just a few months ago, and NTCA was really fortunate that one of our 5-star members, the David Allen Company, did all of the tile work in the Signia Hotel. And they've been very gracious to partner with the architectural firm and other groups to put on 2 tours. One is specifically to the architectural design specification community, and one is hopefully geared towards commercial installers, commercial contracting. That's where our first preference would be. I believe they can register now when they go through the registration process, but I believe Cecilia is also in the chat or here has an RSVP form. So I would suggest, if you are really interested to see a tour of a state-of-the-art hotel with a lot of specific tile installations, and talk to the contractor, the project manager of the contracting company, and the project manager of the general contractor and the specifier, the architect, about the project. This is a really unique tour that we're putting on, and we'll be taking them. It'll take an hour and a half due to the logistics, but we'll be taking them over to the hotel to actually see examples of the installation in a lot of different areas of the hotel. So I encourage you to sign up for that. Next slide. Education sessions. So this is the conference program that's not on the show floor. And I'm not going to go over all of these with you, but NTCA, amongst other groups that of the ownership group that participates in a conference task force, puts a lot of time and energy into the conference program. One thing that we're doing this year a lot of is some really well put together, moderated panel presentations, which will include both remodelers, designers, with the installers. At times, we have an architect working with a couple of our installers, talking about specifying with large format and new technology, and then we talk about installing with those products. You know, a couple of other highlights: the Natural Stone Institute does an outstanding job on the state of the stone industry, and we have our guest with us today on a session that I'm really excited about. So Joe Lundgren, I'm going to bring Joe in. Jim did an introduction. Joe's probably the foremost business consultant in the tile industry that I rely on when I want to talk to someone about what's going on with tile trends, but in particular with trends related to how tile is being utilized in remodeling, new construction, what we can see from the architectural movement in their building index. And Joe, we have some other people going to participate in this session. So can you promote the economic forecast session that I'll be moderating and tell a little bit about what we're going to do? And then I've got just a couple of first quarter questions for you.
Certainly. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to go, but unlike David, I don't have the list of economists that I'm next to on all of the famous museums and things around the world. So I'll try and step up a little bit to David's platform. But I'm going to be with Sean Boyle, who many of you know as Senior Vice President of Laticrete. Does a fantastic job every year at their breakfast at Total Solutions, giving an economic forecast. And then also Santo Torcivia, who is the owner of Marketing Insights, who does a forecast not only specific to tile, but for the industry as a whole. So the three of us are going to be talking really about the state of the tile market. And it's been quite an adventure just doing it with them, because we have actually been having weekly calls for probably the last couple of weeks and all the way up right before covering. So we're very excited about being able to bring that to the team and at coverings, and also the first 1,000 people that come to ours get in for free cover charge. So I think you guys should really consider it. But at the end of I'll let you hit me with the questions, because I'm sure one of them might be about the Fed keeping things constant yesterday, but I'll let you go with it.
I'm not sure the room can handle 1,000 people, but we're going to do the best we can. And you know, we're having a little fun with this, but I encourage everyone to attend this session. This is not a general economic session. We will incorporate the economic forecasting into what we think that means specifically to the tile industry, and I think that's really important. So Joe, we're almost at the end of March, so I'm not going to hit you on the Fed rates. I'm going to ask you about just a little preview about the first quarter. What, from a tile industry perspective, economically, how do you see tile performing in the sector, and how are we performing against, for instance, LVT or some competitive products?
Oh, good question. You know, as a whole, ceramic tile has held its own. If you look at the overall industry standards, we're always 12 to 13% in the United States of overall flooring. Even with the big rise we've seen in LVT over the past 5 to 10 years, ceramic has always held its own. And also ceramic is the biggest opportunity. That's why we're 30% manufactured, 70% import, because a lot of importers look at the United States as the best opportunity as we start to figure out that, hey, maybe the soft side carpet isn't the best type of product to be able to use. We only use 9 square feet per capita, and that is the lowest of any industrialized nation. Saudi Arabia is 50, China's much more than us, so there's a significant opportunity here. As for the first quarter, we are weathering the storm is what I like to say, and we'll see that through until June. The back half of the year, I think in May, I think when the Fed gets back together, we'll start to see some decrease in the rates, and that's going to drive things. I think we'll see an increase in new housing, and more importantly, we'll see at that point in time when interest rates start to go down, we'll start to see the resale home start to happen, and that's where we see the remodel business going. Commercially, we've been a little bit slow, but the great news is the Architectural Billings Index has popped back up. And I just sent a report out recently on that. And I think that we've seen a big increase in that back 6 months ago, where a lot of developers got plans ready to go. They did not start their projects because rates were high. As we see rates start to come down, we're going to see plans come to fruition much quicker than we have in the past, because many of the plans have already been done for projects. So we've got a lot pent up demand that's going to be exciting in the back half of this year, towards even the fourth quarter in some cases. And then I believe we're going to boom in 2025.
So for all of our people, these guys are talking weekly because they are going to make sure that the presentation that they give in April. Joe, when is it? What day is it on? Do you remember?
We're on Tuesday, April 23rd from 8 to 9.
Okay, so the second day of the show, we did it in the morning because we anticipate a good crowd. And these are distributors, manufacturers, and installers to attend this session. This is a general economic session that I encourage everyone to attend. Joe, I promised not to get into politics, but what does an election year do to an economy like the construction industry economy? Overall, generally, what happens?
Well, then you get into the red-blue scene, because obviously there's different beliefs on different things. And one of the things we've seen a lot of construction being done, and it shows up in the numbers, and it doesn't impact us as much over the last 4 years, is a lot of the things to do with infrastructure, and specifically highways, those kinds of things. Not a terrible lot of ceramic tile or other flooring utilized in that. But when we see the parties that come that want to see interest rates drop and the economy grow, tax rates go down, that usually spurns a lot of the construction industry. I think no matter who gets elected, because we're still dealing with the pandemic. I know everyone hates to hear that, but we have some pent up demand. And when that demand starts to come down, it's going to align with the Fed rate coming down. They've done a great job bringing inflation down, and I thought maybe this was the time they drop rates, but they held them. I think that next time when we look at it in May, hopefully they'll bring them on down, and we're going to start to see things really cook because of all that pent up demand, regardless of who goes into office.
Yeah, we're going to benefit from that, I hope. One last question before I let you go. Those that don't know that you're not just a business, an economist per se, but you're really a tile consultant. And I know you know a lot about Tile Trends, which our show really does an incredible job of bringing in new product and new trends. I know you go to Shirsai and other shows and do work on that. What can our people expect? What are you seeing from a tile standpoint from some tile trends that you think people will see at the show here next month?
And I appreciate that question. And I always challenge manufacturers as I talk to them, because you mentioned LVT, and LVT's done nothing but get better since its reintroduction is what I'll say. And we've seen that from the growth in the category. But I think most of that is due to the installation cost. But specific to ceramic, we're going to see large formats. I think everybody knows that, but we're going to see glazing techniques that we've never seen before, and different kind of effects that we can do on tile that once again, and we love our brethren over there on the stone side, but as we start to perfect inkjet technology and the various patterns that we can do and the textures we can do with inkjet technology, we are moving beyond every other flooring category. No one can do what we can do in the ceramic tile industry. So I still will continue to see that, and specifically in marble looks, where we'll see the 10th, 11th, 12th generation of a marble look that is just impeccable, and product that is just, I'll say, the best product. And I know I'm a little swayed here from anybody's perspective on installing on any type of installation. It's going to last the longest. And when you look at the trends, the ceramic tile is always at the forefront of that. And so I'm looking forward to seeing some other looks. You know, of course, we'll have our marbleized looks and our concrete looks and our metallic and woods, but also a lot of the niche products that we're going to see. You mentioned the artisan area, which is really cool to go watch if anybody hasn't been through that area and see what people like David and others can do with ceramic tile. And it's not just us run of the mill, how much volume are we going to do in the marbleized look or concrete look? These guys are doing some really cool stuff that really inspire a lot of things in the ceramic tile industry.
Thank you, Joe. And I think you could tell from listening to Joe and his passion for the industry and his understanding of the tile industry that this economic session will be, really an excellent tile economic session Tuesday at 8 a.m. in the conference. Thanks again, Joe. Cecilia, let's go to the next slide and we'll kind of wrap this up and see if anybody has any questions or comments. The Ceramic Tile Education Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit that the covering show supports with both space as well as financially, and all of our partner organizations support this foundation. I believe we'll actually have specific CTI certified tile installer tests going on as well as live demos. That's booth 6505. Again, all of this going on related to installation, NTCA's booth, CTEF's booth, and the installation innovation stage in Hall C. Next slide.
And before we move on, one quick thing I wanted to mention is that part of your registration this year also includes a $10 donation that Coverings makes on your behalf to one of 6 organizations of your choosing, and actually CTEF is one of those. So keep that in mind when you register. You're not just doing yourself some good, but you're doing good for the industry as a whole.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. We hope people participate in that. And this is something I'm really excited about. This is new this year in Atlanta. Last year and really in the last several years, and Joe would know about this as well, but there's been a lot of trends towards outdoor installations, exterior installations, exterior living spaces, both residentially and commercially. And so last year we did some work on a stage, but this year we've gone all out. We actually partnered, the show partnered with a group called Tributary Revelation, which is a group of some of the most respected landscape architects that work in particular with a lot of our products. And so we're bringing this group in, and they helped design the space, and show management helped to create the platform and the space to do it. And we have NTCA has an outstanding 5-star member in Atlanta, DW Sanders, Woody Sanders, who's doing a lot of the tile work. We have Cesius and other groups, our Spanish partners, donating tile in a swimming pool area. Also, we are utilizing pedestal systems with 2-centimeter material throughout this space. And we're actually bringing in and incorporating an art glass panel onto a back wall. It's going to be really cool. All of that's going to be taking place in the Outdoor Oasis. And I think, Cecilia, the Outdoor Oasis is also a place for gathering and presentations and other aspects throughout the 4 days, correct?
That's correct. You can pop by there for special giveaways, happy hours, and of course, that's also the spot where our contractor tours begin and end.
Okay, great. So the next slide, let's see, what else do we have? There's so much going on. And so the CID and Rockstar Awards, God, we get so excited about both of these. Our members, NTCA members over the years, have received a lot of CID awards for installation excellence, but CID is both design and installation. They're 2 different categories. So many submissions this year. We vetted that out in February in Washington, DC, and we're excited to make those presentations, which is on Tuesday, the 2nd day of the show, April 23rd, from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. That's on another one of the stages. Cecilia showed you the diagram. There's Hall B and Hall C. The actual CID awards will take place over in Hall B, while the Rockstar Awards, which are for young people generally under the age of 40, a lot of people in their 20s and early 30s, young emerging leaders in our industry from all aspects of tile, stone, distribution, design, architectural, and installation. We've got some great people receiving that recognition. That's taking place on opening day, which is Monday from 4 to 5 p.m. in the Outdoor Oasis area that we just talked about. So that's where we'll have the Rockstar Awards. Next slide. That's it, I guess. Cecilia, is there anything I didn't cover before we turn it over to Jim that I might have missed?
I mean, I think we have it all covered, pun intended.
Okay.
But if there's anything that we have time to go over in more detail, I think as Jim mentioned at the beginning, you can pop your questions in the chat.
Okay, I would only mention, go ahead. I can't hear you, Jim.
I'm sorry. Am I too old to be a rock star? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right.
You were a rock star a long time ago, Jim. Well, you might be. I went and saw the ZZ Top concert last night, and that was here in Brandon, Mississippi. And if they can be rock stars, Jim, you're not too old to be a rock star. I can say that.
Thanks for putting me in their group.
Jim, can I make one other mention real quick? For our installers, contractors that are on here, if they come in early, there is a ANSI, American National Standards of Installation meeting on Sunday, and our technical committee meeting is on Sunday. Do you know which ones are which? But they're both going on Sunday, and those are open. They're public meetings if people would like to see how standards are developed here in the United States. Do you want to mention that?
So our technical committee meeting is on Sunday night from, let me just see here real quick. On Sunday morning from 7 till 10 a.m. It's going to be kind of a short one this time. Just we might go to 11, but it's somewhere in that range. It'll be in C202 and C204, and that is the NTCA technical committee meeting. Then right after that, in the same room, starting at 1 o'clock, is the ANSI meeting.
Okay.
And ANSI is asking if anyone wants to come, if they'd please RSVP, just because of limited room. They tend to get some large audiences there. So just so everybody knows.
Okay, so if they're interested, they should maybe reach out to you and then we can connect them. Maybe.
Then I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I just want to say, phenomenal, lots of information, exciting what's coming up and what's happening. Couple of things. I want to make sure that all of you know you can share this whole presentation with your staff, the people around you, other people you know that you think should see this. And if you go to the questions area, you'll see I put in there into the chat area, I put in there a link to our YouTube channel. It will be up tomorrow afternoon and anybody can watch it right after that. I also want to say one thing, the Outdoor Oasis picture, that is not the Outdoor Oasis, just to make sure you know that wasn't the Outdoor Oasis. That is a beautiful picture of outdoor living styles. So that's great. And then David, are you sure it's pretty easy to do that kind of artwork once you learn to do the eyes? I just want to make sure. I don't believe you.
Have a go next month and you'll find out.
I'll be there. I want you to teach me.
All right, then, deal.
All right, great.
I
knew this was going to happen. You guys did such a phenomenal job. There are no questions. People really are overwhelmed, I believe, with what's going on and what there is to see. It'll be a really fast 4.5 day or 3.5 days. I will tell you. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are full days, and Thursday is over at 3:30. It closes a couple hours early, but really excited. Thank you all. You're phenomenal people and great speakers and great information. Thank you. I look forward to seeing everyone that was on this webinar at Coverings. Come to the NTCA booth, say hi. Try and stop me as I'm walking around because I'm pretty tough to stop. I'm on the go the whole time, but it's exciting. And thank you all, okay? I appreciate it. I want everyone to know our next webinar is, you'll get invites coming out. It is before Coverings. It is April 4th. We've got another one coming up and you'll get invites to that. So look forward to it. Again, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.